place by asking, what's it like surfing with your wife?
Oh, surfing with my wife's a good thing.
Is it?
Yeah, because most relationships, the other, like your wife or your girlfriend wouldn't really be so flexible with your surfing lifestyle.
But you can't ever get away from her either, Like some guys use that as time away.
Yeah, but she's at a different level from me.
Okay.
So she knows where I'm at, and I know where she's at.
Is she just longboarding, or does she get on the foil or stand up?
She's just regular longboard and SUP surfing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's a rarity. You don't see a lot of guys. I mean, maybe around here you do, but at home in California, you never see husband and wife surfing couples.
Really?
Hardly ever.
She's slowed down a little bit. She's getting older, and then
Yeah.
her job's, consuming her a lot of energy and time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go back to your timeline. You grew up on Oahu?
Yeah, I grew up on Oahu.
Whereabouts?
Haina. That's between Cocoa Head, Diamond Head, Moanalua Bay, and there's all these valleys from the shore up. So there's different districts or different neighborhoods. So I was from Haina Valley.
What'd your parents do?
My mom was like an accountant at the UH. My dad was what do you call it? He was a civilian. He wasn't in the military, but he was a civilian working for the Air Force, Hickam Air Force Base.
Doing what sort of stuff?
Repairing airplanes.
Oh, okay. Like mechanic type?
Yeah, mechanic stuff.
Interesting.
My dad's Chinese Hawaiian. My mom's pure Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many generations you go back?
God, I don't know. I haven't studied that. My dad was trying to find out his genealogy when he was alive, but what we found out was a little bit was from Hanalei.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How were you introduced to surfing? Or do you remember being introduced to it?
Well, I always think back when I didn't surf, and it was my birthday, and my dad would go to the Honolulu library and rent the film, the 16 millimeter films from the library, and it was all like Greg Knoll guys surfing Waimea and Sunset Beach, and then we'd have my birthday party, and then everybody would, okay, we're gonna watch a movie, and it was surf movies. So that was kind of an introductory right there. And then I think about it, it's like big waves. So we were actually watching big waves, And then every so often we'd cruise up to the North Shore and just watch the guys surfing Sunset and Waimea.
So you could rent like the 16 millimeter reel,
Yeah.
bring it home, put it on the projector, and
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you remember which films they were, or were they just footage of surfing?
God, it was some old footage. I don't remember. I was young. I just remember Greg Knoll in his black and white shorts and riding big waves.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So was your dad a surfer?
No.
He was just fascinated with...
That was part of Hawaii, I guess, and he realized it, And
Yeah.
my mom surfed a little when she was younger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But they didn't surf. My dad didn't surf. My mom didn't surf anymore by the time they had us, our family.
So what was your first introduction to getting in the water and getting on a board?
I used to go with the neighbors, and we used to have these styrofoam rocket bodyboard like things, and the guy's father would take us to Bellows Field on the east shore, and we'd catch waves with the thing and just lie down. You go out and catch the wave and go straight, and then just go all the way to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
And then just that sensation was real cool, because you'd be lying down on the board, and everything would be just going by you. All the water would be going by you, So that was kind of like a small introductory to surfing waves,
Yeah.
And then I wanted to learn how to surf, regular surf. So my dad took me to surf Waikiki.
Do you remember the first board?
Got my first board. This is pretty cool, because the neighbors were Hawaiian people, and in their garage they had 3 big, like 10-foot, 11-foot balsa boards, and they were like hollow boards. They had like bulkheads in them, and then Laird, is almost like an airplane wing.
Chamber.
Yeah. Not really chamber. I say like an airplane, how an airplane wing is built.
Okay.
You know how it has like bulkheads and then the skin goes over that. Yeah. So we asked the neighbors what they're gonna do with it. They were just hanging in the garage, so the guys let us buy one for like $50, which was kind of high back then.
Was it?
Yeah. But it was this balsa board.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I rode that for a while, and it was too long and too gunny, So then we went to Waikiki and bought like a regular longboard after that. But I had both boards. I used the wooden board until the wooden board dinged and then filled it with water and then it just rotted and bent in half. And that was my lesson about how wood reacted with water and the ding damaging the board and all that bit.
Right.
And then I had the other longboard and I learned how to surf on that. And then after a few years went by, that era, the longboard era, turned into the mini gun era where the boards are getting smaller. So what we did, we stripped all the longboards. We stripped boards and shaped them and glassed them. So right there I learned how to shape boards a little and play with the resin and stuff and glass boards.
Right.
That was my introduction to that, my education on that, because there's no education for that kind of stuff.
Right. So were you like a teenager at the time?
Barely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, maybe 10 or 11, 12. Getting to the teens, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever have a real job did you get a real job during that era, or?
I was going to school. Okay. I went to school, elementary school, high school, and I quit school at 11th grade. And my dad said I got to work, so that's when I had to work. But I stayed at home and worked. So then I go, if I'm staying home and working, paying rent, I got to live with these guys, and they're my parents.
Yeah.
I might as well go someplace and do the same thing without them, breathing down my neck. So,
totally.
So then I moved to Kauai.
Okay. Why Kauai?
We had an experience. It was like 68 or 69. We came and we just went surfing over here. And we just got off the plane and hitchhiked to Poipu, South Shore. And we surfed over there. And then the waves went down. Then we hitchhiked and we came up here and camped up here. And it was just all country. There was like no regulations. You just could have your sleeping bag, your board, and just when it gets dark, just go to sleep on the side of the road or at the beach.
Yeah. Who were you traveling with?
One of my high school friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you even know where to go to find waves?
It was kind of well known, Pakalas. I mean, actually our friend from Oahu had grandparents living in Poipu. So he would come every time in the summer, visit them and go back.
Okay.
And then he told us about Poipu, like what was that? PKs, centers, acid drop, and then Pakalas. Pakalas was a real well-known surf break, probably in the early 60s.
Had you seen magazine images of it, or was it all just word of mouth?
It was word of mouth back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was in what? 68, 69. Then I moved here in 71.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why'd you drop out of high school in 11th grade?
My brain wasn't focused for school. All we wanted to do was surf and get stoned, smoke pot, and forget about education.
It's funny, as I've spoken to people on island about that era, the adults seemed to be okay with that, and even the educators seemed to be okay with that. It seemed to be a lot less regimented. Well,
my parents weren't too happy.
They weren't
about that. My dad. My dad probably regretted he took me surfing.
Oh, really?
I think so.
What did he want from you, or
he wanted
of you
me
to become?
He wanted me to be like my son, an architect, doctorate architect, or my other son's a stockbroker.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to be like them because, you know, as I raised our kids, they learned how to surf eventually, and then the surf was good. And I watch how they react. I go, they don't even care about the surf. They're going to go to school. I got to go to school. They just go to school no matter how good the surf was. Where I was like, if the surf was good, my choice would be to go surf and not go to school.
Yeah. Did your father ever accept the lifestyle that you chose?
Not after a while.
I mean, eventually, if he sees your success.
After I left and came here on my own, had a job, had a house, had a car, had all my stuff, then I invited them to stay with me, and then they realized, like, wow, you know.
Good.
He figured himself out, you know.
Good.
And then, since I left, I didn't go to college. They didn't spend all this other extra money on me going to college. They could afford to put a down payment on our property here.
Okay. Good. So, when you landed on Kauai, what'd you do for work?
At first, it never worked. Just get food stamps, real hippie life down in Hyanna. Camp out at the beach, just surf, and then.
How was that lifestyle, by the way?
It was nice for the moment, you know, for the first year and a half, and then after a while, my other friend had a job. Wait, I got a job at end of the road as I skipped being a dishwasher. I went right to being a prep cook. And I worked there for a while. That was kind of, I would work in the evening. It was a restaurant open in the evening. And we'd surf in the morning and go to work and eat our food there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I quit that job, then I collected food stamps off of the state, you know, all the welfare kind of level there. And then I paid rent. I lived in this taro shack and paid rent by pulling taro. So that was covered. The rent was covered, but I had to pull taro twice a week.
There's a part of me that really fantasizes or like glamorizes that lifestyle. Like I could see the joy and the simplicity in that, where you can kind of live off the land here, it seems.
We were, yeah.
There's fish, obviously. There's fruit in the trees, and if your only ambitions are to surf and just be healthy and happy, then you can do that. But I suppose at a certain point, you know, you want to get married and have kids. And
well, I got a girlfriend, and you know, all the comforts just weren't there, so I had to get a house to stay in and pay the rent.
Right.
Kind of a fair job at Princeville.
What was that?
Bellman at Princeville there.
Oh, okay.
So I had medical, you know, all the benefits of working at the hotel.
Gotcha. When did you get reintroduced to board building? And first of all, what was access to materials like?
A little hard to get materials. I mean, you buy them at the hardware store. But from that era when I stripped the blanks and made boards, I would make a board or two all the way till when we came here. I would still be able to make a board or two, but when we got here, I had to buy a gun out of the surf shop, like a real big wave gun, you know, because we needed big wave boards for here.
Who shaped that board?
It was like Mike Diffenderfer.
Was he on island building boards?
He was.
Okay.
He would kind of go back and forth, but he
thought.
lived here too, and he would make boards. Him, Larry Strada, and Bob Stay, Wolfman. And then I started getting interested in shaping, and then Wolfman, or I'd go to Wolfman and he'd go, "Bro, you got to learn how to do this yourself," because he was tired of everybody coming and hounding him making boards, you know. It kind of interrupts your life a little bit. That's how my life is now. I make boards and stuff, but people come over and they disrupt my rhythm. You know, you just want to work and have someone else deal with all the business end of it.
Yeah.
You know. So he actually taught me how to shape from, I think that was about 72, 73. He made me get a planer, and then he showed me how to do certain stuff that, you know, you just remember, and then you just carry it on through the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see it as a viable career path?
Fantasizes about it, but basically made boards for myself and my friends. Yeah.
Who was laminating?
Bobby Allen. Bobby Allen would laminate.
For everybody?
For the guys all on the North Shore, yeah.
It's funny, that seems to be, in nowadays, almost no matter where I go in the world, that seems to be one part of the board building process that nobody wants to get into. You know, like there's a ton of shapers coming up, and they watch Instagram and they want to be a shaper.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to learn how to sand a board. Nobody wants to learn how to laminate a board.
No, well, there's, I'd say, what I always think of is there's no education for it.
Oh, okay.
There's no one's going to teach you but yourself, unless some glasser guy needs an assistant, then he'll train the guy to do it. But then that doesn't always work because it's such a weird, tedious progress, you know, that it's just not very nice.
No.
You know.
It's technical and it's kind of dirty and it's
fuming,
it's not glamorous,
fuming,
you know?
Yeah. And you got to be a neat person with it. You can't be sloppy. You'll create a hazard.
Right.
You know, fire or you'll just kill yourself if you're not careful.
But if somebody was young and they want to get into business, that's wide open path into the business, you know? Like there's people looking for laminators everywhere.
Well, right now I need laminator. This island only has one laminator, two laminators, Imua Surfboards in Lehui, and then there's one guy up here, John Delaney, he glasses. Then those are the only two laminators.
Yeah.
So I bring polyesters to them, maybe a epoxy or two, but I do all my own epoxy here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I know how to glass. I do it all.
Yeah.
But I prefer shaping and have glassers, you know. But when you run into the dead end, you got to do it yourself.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Talk me through, once you get to the point where you're raising kids, seems like there's kind of economic limitations and even schooling limitations for raising kids on Kauai. I hear a lot of people expressing that, yet you really raised a couple of super successful, professional, happy, healthy kids who also shred. So,
yeah.
But their priorities are straight, so they're not just shredding all the time, you know, they're actually going and focusing on work half the time in California, half the time here. How did you pull that off?
I think my wife is the main driving force to that.
Really?
You know, yeah, she really looked after all that. I was more like, let her take care of the kids, run away and go surfing. You know, I was still doing my same thing, but I'd be around to help out and do stuff, you know, to raise a family. Kanoa and Malia went to Kamehameha, which is a boarding school. So that also took the burden off of us trying to tell them what to do and discipline them, you know.
Is that on island?
It made the relationship a little bit more, it took that off of our shoulders, me and my wife. And they got disciplined by the Kamehameha school, which has all the foundation of, they train you as you grow up, you know. Clean your room, wash the dishes, sweep the floor. You had all your chores. We didn't have to, you know, tell them every day to do that. Those guys did that, and it was they were there 5 days or 7 days a week at the boarding school until there were certain times they could come home.
Is it on
that was from 7th grade till 12th grade. It's on Oahu, Kamehameha School. It's all for Hawaiian blooded kids, family.
Why was it important to you to send them there? Better education?
Better education, and then more like looked after as they're going to school, you know. And then my youngest son, he had his chance to go there, but he didn't want to go, and he stayed here. He stayed on Kauai. He still turned out pretty good too. I mean,
I was going to ask, is there a difference between them, the way that, based on the schooling?
Yeah, my son who stayed here, he's got a smart head, and and he's focused on what he's doing. But then when it comes to the other stuff, like I said, cleaning your house and doing all that chores and stuff, he's not trained that well for it.
Less disciplined.
Kind of, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the boarding school really drilled it into them.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice.
Because I would, so the difference between that versus the public schooling is obviously cost. A lot of local families probably can't afford to do that.
Yeah, the scholarship there, though, they take care of you a little bit.
Oh, you can get a scholarship?
Yeah.
Is it academic?
What do you mean?
How do they allocate the scholarships? Is it based on your grades?
Just being like Hawaiian kids.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because the reason why I'm asking is there's a lot of local families where it seems like good, caring, loving parents, but the kids still get caught up in drugs and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that's another thing. The school won't accept you unless you pass their criteria.
Gotcha.
So they screen every kid that wants to go to that school. They want to make sure you're going to be focused and be able to focus on what you're, being taught.
Gotcha.
And then there are some kids that pass the course to get in, but then they kind of get bad and they get caught doing something wrong, and then they just get kicked out. If it's zero tolerance, sometimes they just can't. They're not accepted back.
Got it.
So that's how they had it semi under control too. And I'm sure there was other kids that were doing not such as good things, zero low tolerance stuff, but they were getting away with it, never got caught,
Right.
Graduated.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there a cultural education component to the Kamehameha schools, like teaching about Hawaiian?
Yeah, they teach them Hawaiian music.
Oh, okay.
There was a Hawaiian speaking class there.
Okay.
But there's not too much use of learning how to speak Hawaiian. I mean, better to learn Japanese or French or something, which they did teach,
I suppose that's absolutely true for like looking at your career path in the future, but there's a lot of value in the kind of preserving the culture, and understanding the history and the legacy and being able to protect that and implement it as Kauai gets developed.
As time goes on, yeah. But it's just more of a history kind of thing for Hawaii,
Yeah.
Because you can't really speak Hawaiian to anybody, and they just don't know what you're talking about.
It's a shame, though. It's a shame to lose some of that.
Yeah, I mean, it got totally lost. Once the missionaries set their rules, it was over.
Right.
A lot of population died too. They
Well, population dying, and then also population being misplaced. As like tourists are coming and buying up homes and property values and taxes are going up.
Oh yeah, they get unaffordable. I mean, they have Hawaiian homes for the Hawaiians too, $1 a year. But they have like little segregated areas where they can put Hawaiian homes, build Hawaiian homes and live. But
that just gets smaller and smaller, and again, the culture kind of gets diluted along the way.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of
they get Hawaiian homes, but it's just like they're just in some suburban neighborhood.
Yeah.
There's no culture thing going on. They're just the Hawaiians, and like the Indians, they have their, wherever the Americans put them to be or they wanted, they're there, and they still keep their culture within that tribe or that wherever, I don't know what you'd say, where they're located,
But it's isolated. It's like sequestered off into its own little thing.
Yeah, but there's still real cultural. I mean, there's some cultural stuff going on here, like Mauna Kea. The Hawaiians over there are really standing up and showing that they're the Hawaiians. It
seems like they've had a lot of success with that too.
Yeah, but it's a hard battle for them, I'd say.
Yeah. One thing I want to ask you about or learn about is surfing into later in life. How old are you?
I'm 65 now.
Okay. You just got back from Nazare?
Yeah, Portugal.
You got back from Nazare in the biggest swell that we've seen.
I guess it was the biggest swell, but to us it just looked like a big swell at King's Reef out here.
Really?
Yeah.
So tell me about that trip. That was obviously, for listeners, right after they ran the WSL event. You and Laird went over together and foiled it.
Laird actually went and planned that out in the summer. He went and got the infrastructure together over there.
What is that?
In case we wanted to go, like a place to stay, jet skis, a host, and then the guy let us know when the swell was coming, when it was going to be a good week. And he said, okay, now's the time. You guys want to come? Now's the time. So then Laird's back and forth from here to California. So he was in California, and he told me, come on, let's go. And I'm not too keen on dropping everything and going halfway across the world for 5 days and then come home, because I just know that's what he's going to do. But he kept telling me, no, we got to go. If it's all there, all you got to do is show up. We got a place to stay, jet skis, the swell's coming. The guy said it's going to be good. So then I said, okay, I'm coming. But then I had to travel by myself and meet him there.
Had you ever been before?
Never.
Okay.
And this was a real strange trip, because I just had a carry-on with all my clothes, and I just brought my foil rig. And the foil board's only 4'6", and then my foil packs all up all nice, so it's a pretty compact unit. So it's pretty easy with all that stuff.
Tell me about the experience of surfing Nazare.
That wave is kind of not a real ideal wave, really. But what we do, we can catch the wave outside and ride it all the way before it breaks. We can ride it to where it breaks and then get out of the wave and try to stay out of danger. But you can never guarantee that. You might run into some problems here. But
did you run into problems?
I cut my forehead on one day.
On what?
I don't know what. I think the foil just grazed me. Something grazed me when I was going over the falls. And then another time I had a wave, and we had a signal going where the other guy was on the side waiting his turn, like just a single guy on this jet ski, and me and Laird were towing, and I was up. So we told the guy, okay, if there's waves in the back, raise your hand. If there's no waves and it's good, lower your hand, like, stay on the wave, stay on the wave. So then we looked at the guy who was just stay on the wave, stay on the wave. So I rode the wave. Okay, it's good. Ride the wave all the way. I kick out, and then there's this looming wall coming, and I go, oh, okay. Focus, here we go. Laird comes zooming in, he picks me up. I don't even wait for the handle. I just let the rope rub in my hands and then pull up and go, The longer you wait, the sooner the thing comes. So I tell him, go, and then we start running, and then it's approaching on my right, and he's shooting across trying to get to the shoulder, and I'm holding the rope, and then another tow team, regular tow guys come from that side and whip the guy in, and the guy's riding the wave, and we're trying to outrun the wave parallel with the wave. So we're running, and then the thing starts to break, and then he turned straight in towards shore, and then right there I just said, I'm not staying on this thing. I don't want the white water to hit me while I'm on this thing. And then I just straightened off with him, leaned over, threw the rope, jumped off, and then I watched the video. I jump off, the board shoots kind of like to my left in front of me, because I jumped like this, a shot to my left, and then big splash, and then you can see I get sucked up, and then there's one moment when I'm sucked up in the lip on the top, under the curl of the top of the wave, and I just go over, and then the board is down there somewhere. So then I got, I missed the board by luck, and then just tumbled around for a while, and then another wave came, dove under that one, then he came and got me, and we got the board. And then that was like, I got away clean. I didn't get killed there.
Yeah. How big was the wave?
I seen some pictures. The wave Yeah, at least 15 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of good size.
On the inside though, not in front of the cliff, like more.
No, the swell was kind of west, so we're more up. That was the thing.
North of the.
More north of the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the west swell, you would think the west swell comes straight from the west where the sun's setting, and come into that point. But the west swell comes so straight in, it hits the top, and the top had rights coming down. On a north swell, it comes down the coast, and then it dips into the canyon, and then swings back up. It almost goes 180 degrees, swing in, and then that's when that real Nazare peak does its thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you glad that you did the 5-day strike mission? Would you do it again?
I did. That was once in a lifetime. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but if the opportunity comes and he wants to go again, and I can think about it, and I could go again because I know what's in store. Well, a lot of time I know Laird, he'll try it and then he'll decide if it's what we're looking for or not. You know, it was just something to like, okay, we're good enough to go do this. Let's do this, and then we can see what we're, you know, if it's what we like.
Yeah.
And to do it over and over, I mean, it would have to be better and better, the way the wave comes in.
In the end, you said, I mean, at the beginning you said you surf big waves at Kings Reef.
Yeah.
So in the end, as you look back, was it worth going? Is it better then? Is there any reason to leave home?
Well, right then there was no waves here at home.
Okay.
You know, it looked like a dry spell. So then let's go, and then we went, and then it was all of a sudden it's like boom, the volume was turned up again. Here we are, you know. And the thing is, we were able to do that. We've trained and we've done it so much in big surf that when we went there, it's like, here we are, you know. Let's just do what we do, and then we just did what we did.
Yeah.
You know, and then we're so familiar on the foil, it just doesn't really bother us.
Right.
You know.
But you are 65.
Yeah.
And you're getting sucked over the falls on a 15-footer and hitting your head on the ski or on the foil.
Something hit me when another wipeout I had.
Right. So do you feel any limitation or concerns for your well-being, or do you feel well-equipped?
That didn't scare me.
Okay.
It's on my mind though when I'm surfing, you know, like, oh, I hope that doesn't happen again. Like I'm riding the wave. Okay, don't fall. Don't let that happen again. But like I said, the ocean is just so unpredictable. When you go out in any condition, you're going to try your hardest for not let anything bad happen or the worst scenario.
Yeah. But
it may happen, and you better be prepared. And if it does, you can't just freak out or panic about it. It's happening, and your brain is ready for it. You know what I mean? You know what your consequences are. I mean, if you were so scared and you knew the consequences, you wouldn't even want to go out. So my thought is just try not to make any mistakes.
Okay.
And try to do everything real clean. And that's the whole idea of the foiling thing. We can ride more waves. Surfing, you want to make all the waves. You don't want to you don't want to wipe out at all, you know. It's just, that's the whole mentality of it. You want to catch waves, the biggest wave, the littlest wave, whatever. You just want to ride the thing and ride it all the way till the thing dies out and at the end, and then go back out and do it again, and do it as much times as you can till you're worn out.
Yeah, it's risk mitigation. I feel like as you get older, even like if maybe your body is wearing out in certain ways, you're less athletic, you have better mental acuity and more life experience, more ocean experience.
Yeah.
So you're actually able to make more calculated decisions quicker, you know? Whereas when you're young, it's like, I'll just take off on a closeout, no big deal, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because one day I took my son Kiali, he's like, oh, let's go out. Hanalei. We tried to foil outside high end. It was like 60 feet, and then we caught like 2 waves, and then 2 rough and 2 gnarly, and then came back to Hanalei, and then, whoa, the waves are going off over here. They're just barreling, you know. And then, so then that evening I take Kiali out. He wants to go on the jet ski, so I take him on his jet ski. I go, okay, you know the lineups, all the lineups. I go, the set's coming. Kings is feathering, and then I drop him off near the lineup. I go, okay, right by that. We got like 90-degree lineups, you know. So he gets right there. I go, he's right there. And I go, the set's coming. Then I see him take off. And he's just so hungry. He just wants to wave. He paddles. And he can't. He's almost in. He's in. And then right when he stood up, he's not in. And then he just jumps off the top of the wave all the way. And I was like, oh my God, what did he just do? He wasn't supposed to do that, you know. Mm-hmm. And then he just disappeared in the whitewater for a while. And then the jet ski was crapping out, so I had to putt back to the other jet ski guy and tell him, you know, go get Keale because this jet ski's not running good. Then they went and got him, and the board was broken in half. And I was just shaking my head. I go, that wasn't very textbook at all.
No.
You know? I don't think I would do that, you know. But he's young. He's just.
You can bounce back.
I've done that kind of stuff already. I don't want to do that anymore, you know.
Yeah. Tell me about your introduction to the foil. What was your first exposure to it, and when was that?
God, the foil was probably, what year was that? We still had the turtle, probably like 98, 97.
So 20 years ago now.
Yeah, Laird just started figuring it out off of the ski chair, and then he made it stand up, and then he was telling us all like, oh man, you gotta learn how to do this, you know. And then he gave a rig to Titus. I know you guys know Titus. Yeah. He gave a rig to Titus, but then Titus had to learn how. He needed someone to drive him, and we had to learn together. So then he had me go with him, and we both learned how to do it together. And from there, you know, we did that for the next couple of years, off and on. So that was my introduction with Titus.
Let's just pretend like listeners haven't actually seen it. What was the allure of the foil to you? What was the draw?
The way it would just glide on the swell. Like, you know, if you ever see a seabird riding the top of the swell as it moves, that's what it's like. It's the same. I don't know. You see the bird fly across, and he's using the wind. The wind is on the opposite side of the water where the foil is. So the bird's above where you would be with the foil under the water. And it has a real efficient flow and plane to it when you're moving. No resistance at all.
So just a whole different sensation than surfing.
Yeah.
I've never heard.
You're surfing. I mean, you have to read the wave, because if you read the wave wrong, you're going to depower yourself on it.
Right.
You have to know how the wave moves and where to put yourself to keep the thing moving.
I've only ever thought about the energy in the swell itself, pushing the foil. I'd never heard anybody talk about the wind above the surface of the water, underneath the board.
Like I said, if you look at a bird while he's on the crest of the wave, or just a little bit in front of the crest, down, almost dropping in down the wave, you just imagine if he was under the water, right below him instead of above the water. That's how the foil is. It's in the water, using that energy.
Right.
He's using the way the wind comes up the face. The foil's under the water, using the water that's being pushed up to, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So what was the early iterations of the foil? What was that like, and what are the improvements that you've made since then?
Back then, the foils were aluminum wings. They almost like were real prehistoric looking. They were just like shovels. We call them shovels because they're aluminum. There was no flex in them, and their design was fairly. It was just for like getting pulled behind the boat, you know. So it's a different pull when you're getting pulled behind the boat on those things. It's almost like trying to pull you down, and you're popping it up so it stays up. When you let go, then it's just you're free, and it's just the wave energy making the thing go. But back then, those things were pretty. That was all we had, and they were like full aluminum.
Right.
Yeah, and then now, or then we started changing the wings. They were G10 wings, looked like the shape of a half a moon.
Mm-hmm.
And then the tail wings, we started playing with the tail wings. We found these little bat wings that made the thing better than the older stuff. And then we started progressing from there, and then we started making the fuselage longer, the airplane part of it longer for more stability, and then the height of the mast higher for more suspension, because the ocean's not flat. It's got warbles and 3-foot high chops and stuff. So we ended up with 48-inch masts and 36-inch fuselages, which is still higher than what they're riding now. And then now we're down to 36-inch masts with 28-inch fuselages. And we're trying to get the guy to make them a little longer. Maybe make them 30, 32, and then maybe make the mast up to like 40, just for more suspension. But we've gotten away from the snowboard boots and the bindings.
Right.
We just use foot straps now.
Right. That's important to detail for listeners, that's how it started.
Yeah.
With the boots.
Yeah, we had boots like fixed on the board, strapped in. You could release them, but it was even scarier. You'd keep yourself way away from the wiping out by the wave, as much as possible. Right now, we kind of chance it. We kind of come around. You have foot straps. Anything happens, you can just jump off. Like, I can't imagine what happened when I went to Nazare, and that when we ran away from the wave and we're running away, if you had boots on, total nightmare.
You'd break a leg, right?
You could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've had some wipeouts where I had one wipeout one time where, as I was wiping out, I had the boots on. As the wave was ready to eat me up, I was telling myself, oh, here we go, I'm going to break my leg. But what happened was, I faded too much. Then by the time I came around, the wave was moving down, and my brain went like, oh, I think I can make this. But so I made another turn up to the top, and then when I was on the top, I figured I could descend down with speed and come around and project out towards the shoulder more. So I went up to the top, and as I was starting to go down, the wave, I could feel the mass of the wave. The ocean was like bigger. It was like 20 foot that day or something. I could feel and see the wave move in a massive increment, like away down from me. And I was already descending. So then I go, oh, it's getting away, I'm a little bit behind, but I'm going to try to get all the speed down the hill and then make my turn and try to project down the line more. So as I was going down, almost down to the bottom, I could see down the line the wave was starting to break right there. It's like, oh, I'm in trouble. So instead of going across, you just kind of go straight in, as far in, try to outrun the wave. And sometimes below the wave there's a trough. Yeah. Not a flat part. There's a little slope. The whitewater goes like this, and you can kind of get your foil right in that slope, and it'll keep going. But this time the thing was kind of flat. I went to the flat, and I go, and then I could hear the whitewater just roaring. I go, oh, here it comes. And then it just went from behind me, and then it shot in front of me like 25, 30 yards in front of me, just wah! And then I was going, oh, I'm gonna break my legs, because they were all binded in. So then I went down, it tumbled, then the water crushed me, bent my rib. So I go, oh, my rib. It goes, ugh. And then that's the first point of impact. Boom. And then I was right, the next one, I just started to rip me around, and then I just felt the thing just come off, both feet out. And I just went like, oh, I'm free. And then I just went for the full ragdoll tumble in the darkness. And then my rib hurt, but my legs aren't broken. Right. And when I was going down, my brain was going, I'm going to break my legs. I'm about to break my legs. Yeah. Because you don't know, all it takes is one to come out and the other, the board stay on, and just do this.
So both boots came off.
Yeah. And we were like, oh, that's good. We thought about it. I think it was like there was so much water, like a fire hose kind of thing, all around you. it just pulled the bindings. We had little release handles we made with a line, and then we cover it with like plastic tubing, a small plastic tubing. It's like a little loop on each side. You can just pull them when you want to get out. I think the whitewater and the turbulence just pulled them out, and and the pressure of my feet pulling like this is just
thankfully
released. Oh yeah.
You've talked about how the foil has changed over the years. Does the board itself ever change, or is that stayed the same?
The board actually was, what were they? The boards were like 5'4" then, so that was pretty standard size for a while, and then then we went to 4'10" balsa boards.
Oh,
I make balsa boards for them now. We like the more dense and heavier boards. And then the last few times with the booted rigs, we're on our 5.0s, 4'10s, and then we're like, I go, man, my board feels a little long. I think we should go shorter next time. So then we went to, I made Laird a 4'8", and I made myself a 4'6", and then that's where we're at now. 4'8", 4'6". You know, guys are riding nowadays. The guys are riding 3.6s and stuff, but seems like that size right now for us is pretty good.
okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever ride small waves on surfboards?
Yeah.
I mean, okay.
I go surfing. It's all part of the training. And
Do
then,
you?
you know.
I'm interested. I see a lot of your large paddleboard guns, large wave, kind of bigger guns. I was at Hackman's the other day, and he had a brand new one that he hadn't waxed
big
up.
gun. Yeah, I made him.
Where do you see the biggest improvement or the biggest potential for improving board design for those types of boards? Because for so many years, nothing has changed, I feel. Like you see big wave paddle surfing, guys drop in, do a bottom turn, maybe try to get barreled and then kick out. It seems like there's a lot of potential room for improvement, especially when you see like Kai Lenny getting towed in and doing actual turns and trying airs and stuff. Is there room for improvement in the big wave paddle gun?
I think the big wave paddle guns are capped off
You
at
think?
the moment. Yeah, there's not much you can do, and a lot of the time, the bigger the waves and the faster you go, you just want to eliminate volume on your equipment to be able to go faster and deal with the speed and have more maneuverability. The big boards are just big old boards, and it's been like that, like you said, since the 1960s. You know, when the waves get big, they're riding 40-pound boards. Even now at Jaws, those boards are like heavy. You know, those guns.
I feel like guys want to do turns and they have the ability to do them. It's just the boards are what's limiting them.
Yeah, but if you watch the guys surf the big guns at Jaws, that's all they can do, and they're doing pretty damn good, because before time you wouldn't think of doing that.
Right.
But then you watch Kaileni on the tow board, and then you just go, yeah, that's how you want to surf those big waves. You know, he comes from way back, and he can just go up to the top and do like just a sharp turn and bank off the top, and there's just, the board's small. It's like he's snowboarding down a mountain or something.
Exactly.
You know,
that's why I'm thinking that surfers have the ability to do it. The board, the design is what's limiting them. You know?
You have to have that board to paddle and move, otherwise you can't move.
Right.
So that's the difference here. You can't eliminate that from the design, you know. Otherwise you're gonna not catch waves. You're not gonna move around that well on your arms, you know, paddling.
What do you ride in big surf for paddling boards?
I ride a 10-4 balsa gun.
Balsa.
Yeah.
Why? Why balsa?
The balsa, for me, it's a better core for dealing with all the chop and the wind and stuff. And the board weighs some weight. There's no flex in balsa as it goes down or into the chop. And once that thing picks up momentum, it's just smooth, you know, smoother as you can get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still a big board. I still have to deal with it like it's a big board.
So more like tracks better, but it also absorbs some of the The bumps.
upcoming chops. Yeah,
Gotcha.
you're going into. It eats them up more than foam.
Gotcha.
Something about, you know, how it hits the wood. It's just more dense. Like foam has a hollow, it kind of soft, and it pushes it back. The wood doesn't get pushed back; it just penetrates.
Gotcha.
That's why we don't understand why they don't ride. Well, we understand, but they should be riding balsa boards at Pe'ahi too. You know.
Yeah.
It would help, but if you wipe out, you're going to lose it, and it'll just get destroyed on the rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the fin setup? What's your preferred fin setup?
Mine's 3 fin, 2+1.
Bigger center fin?
No, same size. They're all like 4.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You've been surfing Hanalei for a long time, and in all conditions.
Pretty much.
What's the best surfing that you've ever seen out there?
Well, the best surfing I seen was in the 70s, when the Princeville Hotel St. Regis wasn't there. The swells were different back then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the swells, the jet stream was different. The storms were different compared to nowadays. But that was some of the best Hanalei I've seen. I think when they made 5 Summer Stories, the movie, Hanalei was unbelievable. It was like perfect, you know.
Really?
Yeah, and then now I think what happens is storms never come from the same location in the ocean. They're always a little off, you know. And then back then there was a line, like right now there's the jet stream runs from Japan to the Illusions, kind of Japan to Oregon. It runs straight across. Before it would run from the Oshkosh Sea, Siberia almost, and come down towards Hawaii and make a big turn. Right before it got to Hawaii, the jet stream would make a turn back up towards California. So all the storms would ride from what angle would that be? Like a 340 degree, you know. It would come like this. It wouldn't come like, now it's coming from the left to the right. Before it would come from the top of us towards us and then turn away. So the swells had more power in a different direction then. That's what it seems like to me. Because all the spots now, every year you go to them, they just seem different. It just doesn't seem like how it was before.
Do you have any idea what's responsible for that?
I think just that's nature too. It just never repeats itself too much. You know what I mean?
Or it could be cyclical, like it'll come back to that way in 100 years or 1,000 years.
Yeah, maybe. Because right now the jet stream, it shoots across from Japan up to Oregon, and then it dips down into the mid-U.S. And then as it crosses over to the East Coast, it goes up, you know, on the coast. And then it goes across to Europe. Dips back down then Europe this year.
Who is the best surfing that you've ever witnessed out there at Hanalei over all the decades? Who's done the best surfing?
Back in the day, it was like Jimmy Lucas was pretty solid out there, yeah. Titus was charged too. But Lucas was like the real, like you watch the guy surf and he's just like, oh, how did the guy do that, you know?
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good call.
And then the guy who took us out there, Tommy Chamberlain, he used to surf it pretty effortlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big call. When
So-
you those guys, I mean, when
That's
you've witnessed the Irons brothers, you've witnessed Laird a ton, and those are the guys.
Well, those were the guys I probably got influenced by. And then everybody else we were on the same, looking to them, you know?
Yeah, totally. That's awesome. In regard to health and fitness, let's give advice to people for how to surf into your 60s at the level that you're surfing at, which is as high as it's ever been, I would imagine. What do you do? What's your morning routine like? What do you put in your body?
First off, my lifestyle's allowed me to be free, where I'm never tied down, and like how I said, how my mentality is. If the surf's good, I would rather do that than go to work. And then in order to be that way, you have to be physically, mentally ready to do that. So I just keep myself physically and mentally ready to do that and go through the consequences of it, you know, like the worst and the good stuff. But my lifestyle's allowed me to just surf more than your normal person all the way up to my age now, because I can just go when I want, and I want to do it. I want to go surfing, you know. And then like in the morning I get up, nowadays I get up in the morning, I'm lying in bed, okay, I'm gonna get up, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and I do a certain amount of stretches right off the bat, right before I get out of bed.
Before you get out of bed?
I'm lying in bed, I throw the covers off, and then I lie on the thing on my back, and I stretch my back, like I dig my heels in, dig my back on my head, and arch my back and pull it, you know what I mean? And it, like, lift your hips up off the bed.
Yeah. Because
your muscles are all just rested, they've just been dormant, so they could either lock up, be tweaked a little bit. Kind of want to wake them up, and then I do some other one where I lift my leg up, point my heels to the ceiling, one leg up to the ceiling, and then cross it over, stretch my back, both sides, my other leg, same thing, point my heel up to this, stretch all my hamstring, and then cross over, and then I'll cross my leg, put one knee behind my ankle, and push with my knee, and push, you know, these are like basic stretches.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I put my 2 feet together, and then stretch out my knees out, all like dun dun dun, all one right after the other. It just takes a few minutes.
Okay.
A minute or two, not a whole, you know, not even 2 minutes.
Okay.
And I cross my legs, pull my knees up towards my chest, stretch all my lower back, because now that I'm older, my lower back is really tight from all the use. It's probably degenerated spine and stuff, so it aches and stuff after a while, but that feels like I keep it pretty stretched, you know. It can't what do you call it, contract on me. I don't want it to contract on me. I want it to be stretched, you know. So that helps. And then I'll have a bowl of oatmeal. I eat oatmeal that first thing right in the morning. That's good for my digestion and stuff. Or a smoothie. Certain days I'll just have a smoothie with raw oatmeal, and I eat a lot of lunchtime and dinner, have a lot of salad, and then fish, rice, some taro. Pretty basic diet. I mean, fish and rice, protein and rice and salad. A lot of salad, you know.
Do you avoid sugar?
I don't avoid it, but I don't use white sugar in any of my tea or anything like that. I don't drink coffee now. I'll eat candy, you know.
If it's around?
Yeah.
Why do you avoid, or why don't you drink coffee anymore?
I had a problem with, I had vertigo for one season. I had vertigo, and then I had to go get it diagnosed, and then they told me stay off of salty stuff, don't drink coffee, don't drink alcohol, change your diet, that'll affect my ear. Certain stuff will affect my ear, like salty stuff. It makes like fluid in your inner part, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And that cleared it up?
And then they said coffee too, no caffeine. Well, they cleared up, but now I have only like 40% hearing in one ear, because it led to that somehow. Some people have different symptoms, but mine led to that because it was my left ear. It would do something weird, like it would feel like it's getting clogged up, and then it would be clogged up, and then all of a sudden I get a episode of vertigo, and I have to ride that out for like an hour to 3 hours, and then it would go away and my ear would clear up. Then I'd be all right. Then life's normal, and then continue doing what, drink coffee, drink wine, drink whatever they said not to drink or eat, and then it would come back again. It kept coming back like that till I just got sick of being that way, seasick.
Was the fluid on the ear because of all the time in the water?
It might be because before it did happen, I had a wipeout at Hanalei on my foil. A leash broke, and foil, it goes against the current. It likes to just move into the current and move. So the thing was just getting away from me, and I was swimming in. I was in the normal salt water. I was swimming in, and all of a sudden I hit the river water, Hanalei river water. And I was swimming in. I could taste the fresh water. I told myself, "Oh man, you're gonna get sick," because I was swimming. I was full on swimming. It wasn't like just breaststroking. I was head down, just breathing. And I just told myself I was gonna get sick. And 2 weeks later, I got this thing in my ears, almost like an infection that just left a scar in there or something.
Yeah.
Scarred my sensory things in there.
Yeah.
And then now when I wipe out, I feel the water kind of inside there.
Right.
It goes in your nasal and it goes in your ear and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In regard to diet, what's your policy with red meat? Do you eat it? Do you avoid it?
I eat red meat.
Okay.
But not every time.
Okay.
I was diagnosed as a type A, which is not compatible with red meat too much. I think B is like, your diet, you can have more red meat.
Is that the eating for your blood type thing?
Or what do you mean? So that's what I've heard.
Okay.
That's what the guy, Dilberg, I went to him, and that's what you're type A, you're you don't eat that much meat. Type A's don't eat that much meat. Type B is a meat eater type. Type A is more like not too much, more vegetables,
Gotcha.
But even before that, if I ate too much meat, my stomach couldn't handle. It was too much for my digestion.
Gotcha.
So what we do is we just eat a lot of fish because we go fishing, and that seems to be all right. Fish.
What about dairy? Do you eat dairy?
Not too much. Maybe some yogurt once in a while. I put maybe a quarter cup of, maybe up to half a cup, quarter cup of milk in my smoothie.
Actual cow's milk?
Carton milk, yeah. Cow's milk, yeah.
What do you do in terms of physical exercise other than being in the water? Do you do any cardio or weightlifting?
No. Just when I go surfing, I make sure I go hard. And then if I lose my board, I'll swim. I won't just float in. I'll just go hard, until I'm breathing hard. And I go, oh man, I've got me breathing hard,
Almost like you're doing it intentionally just to get the heart going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I go in the morning. If I go every morning, then I'm pretty, I'll be able to do that. If you go surfing every morning, I know I'll be able to go out and surf the waves with Laird and stuff, Laird, he trains different.
Totally.
Yeah, he trains like he's I don't know, that's just what he does.
The guy's a freak.
Yeah.
His level of kind of tenacity and desire for it is different than anybody I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's prepared for the worst situation, but I go with him. He'll kind of cross over those lines, but he doesn't get too trashed. He doesn't want to go to Jaws or pull in the barrel and get eaten and do that kind of stuff. He just wants to be physically fit to be able to endure what we're doing for a long time, So then when I go with him, I keep up with him, and he knows I'm older than him, so I'll get tired sooner than him.
Right.
But then I'll push it a little bit,
Yeah.
Which I can endure it.
You said like you just want to surf all the time, and so a lot of your maintenance is to ensure that you can continue getting up every morning and surfing. I think a lot of people listening have goals that they want, but they are their own worst enemy. and they get in the way of their goals, and so they'll self-sabotage unknowingly, and I know I certainly do that. How have you kept your mental kind of focus? Have you stayed on task? Do you meditate? Like, what is...
No, I just think about it. I go, and then if you go surfing and you haven't kept up your physical fitness for it, you'll feel it. You're not going to last as long,
I know.
And if the surf's really good, it's you don't want to just surf for an hour. You want to surf for 3 hours and get your quota of waves, and then you're satisfied. So basically, I like to just make sure I'm able to endure for 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah, I like to as well. But then last night at dinner, I wanted a glass of wine,
Yeah.
and it subverts my own best interest.
Well, yeah. Well, I had these 2 guys from Germany here. They're the guys fixing my CNC, and those guys drank a lot. And then all of a sudden, I was, here, have some wine, and I drank a couple glasses of wine a couple nights in a row, and then I woke up in the morning not feeling very good.
Yeah.
And I go, but I had to stay home because they were here only for however long they were here for. So I wouldn't go surfing. I go, okay, I'm gonna get on their level. Be all groggy in the morning. I'm not gonna go surfing, and then snap out of it and go out there and work. And then he was actually teaching me how to operate the computer and all the computer stuff. So I had to. It's almost like going to school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the surf was up, and I go, I just missed all the surf, but this is more important to me now.
At the moment.
And then now they left. I just went I'm getting up in the morning. I'm going surfing. And then I went this morning.
Good.
And I felt a little sluggish this morning because I didn't go for a couple days.
Right.
But I still, I went foiling, and I go, I felt kind of weird today. But then I thought about it. I go, I didn't crash once.
Okay, good.
So I go, I guess I'm doing all right. But my inner self didn't feel like, I felt like I was just really doing good, felt really good about it. I didn't feel that good about it. But at the same time, I didn't wipe out or do one of those. I don't know if you ever see the guys on the foil, they go, and it pops up and then you fall.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a common thing. That's just the nature of foiling. So I thought about it. I go, well, I didn't do any of those today, so I must have been doing pretty good.
Good. Good. Final question is, how do you feel about Kauai for the next generation? Presuming you're going to have grandkids that'll want to maybe inherit this property, or they do inherit this property. Do you feel optimistic about the future of Kauai in terms of politically and the way that outsiders are coming out and buying up property and all that sort of stuff? How do you feel about the future of Kauai?
I'm kind of not worried about it because we got our property here.
Good.
And it's part of our, I'll never sell. It's already going to be handed down to my siblings, my 3 kids. And Kano's going to build his house at the edge of the property there, and whatever happens around is just happening. You can't prevent anything from happening. The way people want to come here and live, if they can come here and live, fine. I mean, it's definitely not going to be like how it was in the 70s when I got here.
Right.
So I figured I got it while it was like that. Just appreciate it, and then there's no turning back now. Just let things happen. I've only got a few more years to live, and I could have died in Portugal.
Yeah, I came out unscathed.
I got a scratch.
Oh, that's true. Not unscathed, but the tablecloth is a nice relic reminder of the
Yeah, I had to buy
experience.
souvenirs.
Totally.
I may go back one of these days. You never know, because Laird, he'll push me,
Yeah.
And then if I do go with him, I better be in shape for it,
Yeah, for sure.
Otherwise, you're just going to go for a little bit, and then after a while, he's not going to even ask you to go.
Right.
I
mean, you have everything you need here, but is there anywhere else that you'd want to go? Any either surf spots or travel spots that you would want to go?
Well, I always like to go travel somewhere, surf somewhere different.
What's on the top of your list?
Well, those guys are all going to an umbrella. I'd like to see what that's like because I've never been there. That last while we were in Portugal, Morocco was good. And I like to catch the wave and get barreled too.
Awesome.
And then the foiling is like, people criticize it like, you're just running from the wave. You guys look like, But then it's like, well, if you were to try do what we're doing, you would probably be way over outrunning the wave or not even be able to drop down the wave.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But there's a certain way of going about the foiling in the big waves. You don't just commit to getting picked off, like surfing. They always just, it's almost like playing with the bull with the cape, they kind of fade down to the lips there, and then they go like this, and then sometimes they make it or sometimes they don't,
Yeah.
We just want to make it. So if you look at us surfing the wave, we're more in the safe part of the wave, but you can bite off all you want this way, but you better be careful because something's gonna happen if you're not careful.
I mean, do you think it'll ever get to the point where guys are getting barreled on foils?
Yeah. I mean, we almost kind of get semi-barreled when we go high end. We do stuff like, we just go like, you come around and you're right up in the pocket and the thing's just throwing, but you're not deep in it. But
little pocket ride.
You're gonna, one day you're gonna draw back a little bit and come around, and you're gonna be too back, and then you're gonna have to just either pull in it and try to thread it, or just bail off.
Right.
And that's the thing about now, we have foot straps. We can stay by the curl a little bit more comfortable now without the boots.
Be able to eject when needed.
Yeah. But still, that's dangerous too.
Totally. Going over the falls with that thing, even if it's not on your feet, it's still sketchy.
I said if I did go where the detonation of impact was and the thing hit me, it'd split your head open like a coconut.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I always think of that. I go, oh, this is dangerous. It's scary. And then when I'm on the wave, I'm thinking about it. But if you fall, then it's in God's hands almost.
Might be wise to start wearing a helmet, especially if you're going to try to get closer to the barrel like that.
Yeah. That's the first time I ever got.
Right. It's a good warning sign, though. All right, Terry, thank you so much.
Sure.